Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. The Bold and the Beautiful Thursday, February 13 recap. Steffy and Hope face off over Brooke. The Bold and the Beautiful B&B. Spoilers recap for Thursday, February 13, reveals that Steffy Forrester, Jacqueline Wood, and Hope Logan, Annika Noel, faced off over Brooke Logan, Catherine Kelly Lang, while Daphne Rose, Muriel Hilaire, had some advice for Carter Walton, Lawrence St. Victor. At the Forrester mansion, Taylor Hayes, Rebecca Budig, assured Ridge Forrester, Thorsten Kaye, and Eric Forrester, John McCook, that the man Carter used to be was still in there somewhere. Taylor felt confident that Carter would make some updates to his perspective and break free from Hope's hold on him eventually. At Forrester Creations, Hope sensed that Carter wasn't as excited as he should be about the jewelry line launch. After Hope guessed Carter had doubts about whether it would succeed, she offered reassurance and thought he should be celebrating his big moment. Of course, Carter was actually dealing with guilt after the work Brooke had been doing to get through to him. In the design office, Daphne remained confident that she could get Carter to see that Hope had brainwashed him. That said, Daphne saw no need to give up on the seduction angle. Daphne planned to keep using it in addition to this new focus on Carter's conscience. As Daphne talked about how handsome Carter was, Steffy sensed that Daphne genuinely liked him. Although Daphne's priority was coming through for Steffy, she confessed she now had a personal mission to rescue Carter from Hope. Later, Hope came along and smelled that Daphne had been in the design office earlier. Steffy wound up speaking with Hope about the jewelry line launch and her continued disapproval of the coupe. Hope made it clear that Steffy had better get used to the power shift since nothing was going to change it. Brooke appeared during the argument and seemed uneasy over Hope's stance, especially once Steffy played up the effect all this was having on Ridge and Eric. Once Brooke took off, it gave Steffy a chance to push Hope's buttons and suggest that even her mom was starting to see the light. Steffy acted like Brooke was feeling the consequences now that she was alone, while Ridge was back with Taylor. Hope took a jab about Ridge's inability to commit and assured Steffy that Brooke's conscience wasn't a problem. As far as Hope was concerned, Brooke was a great CEO and made a wonderful team with Carter. Back with Daphne, she took Carter's hand in the main office and admitted she'd been thinking about him. Carter got a puzzled look on his face and flat out asked if Daphne was coming on to him. Charlie Weber, Dick Christie, interrupted briefly, but Daphne resumed her mission once he was gone. The idea of running Forrester Creations without the Forresters was strange to Daphne, and she thought it must be strange to Carter as well. Daphne also pointed out that Hope had Carter wrapped around her finger. Since Hope was seemingly giving Carter all the love and devotion he was craving, Daphne suggested he do anything to make it last, even betray a friend. From the doorway, Brooke watched and listened as Daphne hinted that this takeover wasn't who Carter really was. Daphne leaned in close and urged Carter to think about what she said before dashing off. Next on Thursday's B&B episode, Brooke told Carter that they had something in common, so he assumed she meant their love for Hope. Brooke insisted they had a mutual love for Ridge too, and knew Carter must miss him as much as she did. Carter stood there looking pensive as Brooke pointed out that Ridge belonged at Forrester Creations. The Bold and the Beautiful spoilers say Carter's guilt will continue to take a toll, so stick with us for predictions on the troubling news that's ahead in his relationship with Hope. On Thursday, February 13th, the latest episode of The Bold and the Beautiful was full of tension, drama, and a fierce showdown. The heart of the episode focused on the ongoing rivalry between Steffy Forrester and Hope Logan, as the two women clashed over the central figure of Brooke Logan, Hope's mother and Steffy's mother-in-law. From the opening scene, it was clear that emotions were running high. Hope and Steffy, Two women who have often found themselves on opposite sides of family matters were once again in conflict, this time with Brooke at the heart of their dispute. The long-standing history between these characters, filled with broken hearts, shifting alliances, and the pursuit of happiness, has always made for compelling television. And Thursday's episode was no with Steffy sitting in her office at Forrester Creations, brooding over her recent encounters with Hope. The tension had been brewing for weeks, as Brooke's latest actions seemed to have pushed Hope into an emotionally fragile state. Steffy, who has her own complicated relationship with Brooke, could not help but feel the weight of Brooke's decisions. In Steffy's mind, Brooke's behavior had been reckless and self-serving, and it was starting to have a ripple effect on the family dynamic. Meanwhile, Hope was navigating her own emotional turmoil. Despite all of her outward composure, she felt the sting of her mother's choices deeply. Brooke, in her ongoing quest to protect her daughter, had inadvertently caused more division within the Forrester and Logan families. Hope couldn't ignore the sense of betrayal she felt as she tried to reconcile her loyalty to her family and the feelings of hurt and disappointment that kept resurfacing when it came to Brooke's decisions. As the two women crossed paths at the Forrester offices, the confrontation was inevitable. Hope, visibly upset, approached Steffy with the intent of addressing the elephant in the room. She was tired of holding back, tired of being silenced by her own doubts, and certainly tired of the constant tension between her and Steffy. "Brooke may be your mother-in-law," Hope said, her voice tinged with frustration, "but she's my mother. And what you're saying about her isn't fair. It's not right." Steffy, never one to back down from a confrontation, fired back with her own unfiltered opinion. "Your mother has a habit of tearing people apart, Hope. You might not see it, but she does. She's not the saint you make her out to be." The air between them grew thick with animosity. Their faces were inches apart, and it was clear that both women had reached their boiling points. Steffy's hurt stemmed from Brooke's history of manipulations within the family, especially her role in the drama between Ridge and Taylor. Hope, on the other hand, was more focused on the fact that Steffy had no right to speak ill of her mother, even if it was true in some regard. She believed that no one, not even Steffy, had the right to criticize Brooke in this way, especially not when it came to matters of family loyalty. The scene was raw and emotional, with both women pushing each other to their limits. But it was also revealing, offering insights into their personalities and the weight of their individual histories. Hope's need to defend her mother was a direct reflection of her deep desire for approval and love from Brooke, while Steffy's frustration with Brooke boiled down to a lifetime of unresolved issues. The layered complexity of these characters was evident in every word they exchanged, and viewers were reminded of how much history these two women shared, both individually and in relation to Brooke. As the conversation continued, Brooke herself entered the scene. The moment she walked into the room, the tension was palpable as Hope and Steffy turned their attention to her. Brooke tried to diffuse the situation, her voice soothing as she attempted to placate both women. But it was clear that she was walking on a tightrope, trying to balance her role as a mother to Hope, a mother-in-law to Steffy, and a woman who was still in the midst of the chaotic love triangle that had defined her life for so long. Hope's eyes softened when she looked at her mother, but there was still an edge of hurt. "You need to stop making decisions for all of us, Mom. Just once, let us have a voice in what happens." Brooke, with a deep sigh, replied, "I only want what's best for you, Hope. You know that." But Hope was done with the patronizing tone. "You think you know what's best for everyone, but sometimes, Mom, you make things worse. You don't always have the answers." Steffy, sensing an opportunity to add fuel to the fire, couldn't help but interject, "She's right. You're always trying to control things, Brooke. And it's not just affecting Hope, it's affecting all of us." A long silence hung in the air as Brooke looked between her daughter and Steffy. Her face was a mixture of regret and frustration, torn between her desire to protect Hope and the reality that her actions were causing rifts in the family. In that moment, viewers could see the cracks forming in the relationships between these women. Brooke, who had always been the glue that tried to hold things together, was beginning to realize that she couldn't be everything to everyone. She couldn't keep making decisions in a vacuum without considering the fallout. Hope, though still deeply hurt, was starting to see that her mother's actions had consequences. She knew she couldn't blindly defend Brooke forever, especially if it meant alienating Steffy and others who were caught in the crossfire.